Hello, it's Wednesday and your maths learning target for today is to investigate complements to 1. Okay, so this means two numbers that would add together to make 1. And building on from what we've done throughout this week, you're going to be using your adding skills and your subtracting skills today to be able to solve these. Lots and lots of really good feedback this week during Zoom clinics about maths. Lots of people doing really well and building on their previous days learning, so well done. Let's see how we get on with today. Right, this first slide shows pairs of numbers that if we added them together, they would equal 1. So for example, we've got 0.25 and 0.75. Those two together would make 1. Okay, so lots of different examples there for you to have a quick look at. Let's have a look back. Let's link our learning to what we've done before. So if we're looking at this 100 square and we're seeing this as one whole. Okay, now we could chop this up in different ways and add the bits back together to make one whole as our total. And we've got here different ways of doing that. Let's have a look at the first two here. So for the bit that's shaded blue, it's chopped up into 10 equal pieces, so each one is 1/10, and I've got 4/10 that are shaded here. Okay, so there is my 0.4. So the white bit is 6/10, so 0.6. And the blue bits and the white bits added together make one whole. So remember that this is our representation of one whole that we've been using before as well. Let's look at the second one. So the blue bits, we've got it divided into 10 again. So each of those columns is 1/10. The blue shaded bits, we've got 3, so that's 3/10. And that will be, there are 7 white columns, so that's 7/10. And altogether that will make one complete square. Okay, so I hope that pictorial representation helps you there. These are your questions for today. So you've got 6 questions for you to have a go with, and they kind of need different approaches, different strategies. So I'm just going to talk you through them one at a time. Right, the first one is similar to what we've just been doing. Just be careful because instead of dividing the squares into tenths, they are divided into hundreds. So there are 100 little squares that each of the big squares are chopped into. So we need to know first of all the blue one, we can do either way around. So we've got 45 of those little squares out of 100 shaded blue, so that's 0.45. And you could count the white squares, or what you could do is do a subtraction. So if you know the total is 1 and you know you've got your 0.45, you could do 1 take away 0.45 and you'd be left with 0.55. To check, do the inverse, so add those bits together and see if you get back to 1 at the end. Okay, so have a go with those. That's question 1. You need to write an addition number sentence for each, just like I've done here, and your answer should be 1 for all of them. Okay, this one's a bit trickier, but this is showing how to get to 1 using a number line. Okay, so I'm going to show you this first one on my whiteboard. So here it is. Okay, I've got my 0.324 here, and I've got 1 at the end, and I want to know what I'd need to add to get to 1. So what I've done is I've done it in 2 jumps. The first jump is that I've gone from this tenth, so 3/10 to 4/10. Okay, so if I'm looking at my hundreds and thousands here, I need to add 0.076, and that will get me to 0.4. Once I've got to 0.4, what do I have to add to 0.4 to get to 1? 0.6. Then I can add those two together to work out how to get from 0.324 to 1. Okay, some of you might find that method a little bit trickier, but like we always say in school, we want you to be good at using lots of different methods and seeing maths in many different ways. So give that a go. We want to see your 2 answers to these 2 questions looking like it was on my whiteboard. Okay, next one, we've got those good old part whole models. So these 2 parts here are going to add to 1. Yep, these two here are going to add to 1. These two here are going to add to 1. So if you're not sure, you can do this as a subtraction. So 1 take away 0.4, you'll be left with this answer here. To check, add those two together and you should get 1. Okay. Right, this one again, we're looking for the missing number. So again, using your subtraction here would be a really good strategy. So 1 take away 0.55, what are you left with? Check, add those two together and you should be left with 1. Okay, so give those a go. Right, this one. Now this one, lots of you are finding these ones quite tricky, not because of the maths, but because you have to explain, okay? Now, explaining will need a sentence, you'll need to write it, and you'll need to write a little description there. So, you've got this number sentence here, and here you've got someone thinking through the answer. So I think the answer is 0.777, and he has shown you the steps of what he has done. So, first bit is, do you agree with Tommy? This is Tommy. So yes, I agree with Tommy, or no, I don't agree with Tommy. So you're going to have to work through what he's done, understand what he's done. This is a bit like our job as teachers. We'll look at your work and we'll understand what you've done and then see if it's right. If you haven't got it right, then we often need to guide you to get you to see what's gone wrong. So, can you explain what his mistake was? Okay, so he's obviously made a mistake, so you need to work through that and try and explain to him. Now, pretend that Tommy is your partner in class, and he doesn't understand. He's just tapped you on the shoulder and said, I don't understand this. So you need to explain to him as clearly as possible what he's done wrong. Okay, so I want to see some nice explanations there. Pretend that Tommy is maybe in Key Stage 1 and needs a really simple, clear explanation. Right, finally, this one. This is a bit of a game, so you've got to get through the maze. You've got to start here and you've got to come out here. Every time you make a move, you've got to add that. So if you started at 0, let's get a bit closer, 0.02, and you went to the next one, 0.01, you would then add those together and get 0.03. Okay, now if you get to 1 and you haven't escaped the maze, you haven't got out to here, you've got to go back to the beginning and try again. So it would be a good idea to use a pencil for this one. Remember the track that you took and see if you can have a go. This is a really nice extension for some of you if you get time, or maybe for tomorrow, for Thursday. Can you design your own smaller maze for others to solve? If you do that and send it to us, then we might be able to post it out to other people and they can have a go at doing that on Thursday, which would be lovely. Okay, good luck with that, folks.